All right, here we go. All right, well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us today for our first of, I hope, many orientations here with Florida Memorial University. I am Eddie from Wayman Aviation Academy, and I hope you'll all have these wings very shortly. These are our solo wings. So all of our pilots earn these wings once they solo. One moment here, we are in a webinar version of a Zoom. It's not your traditional Zoom. So the panelists, which is Wayman Aviation staff and Florida Memorial, Dr. Guerra, Dr. Vina are here with us as well. Actually, maybe before we jump into the presentation, we'll do a quick introduction. So as I mentioned, I'm Wayman Eddie Louis, Vice President, and I had an opportunity to meet many of you last December at our first meet and greet. Starting from the left, we have Mr. Yohamid from Admissions. Oh, I think you might be muted. No, you're not muted. Okay, you might be micless then. All right. That's okay, Yohamid. Well, everyone will have a chance to meet you. In the blue with the headset, we have Aimeni Quintana, also Admissions.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Aimeni Quintana. I work in admissions in Wayman Academy for 5 years. My job is to help you to guide you to all admission process, okay?
Absolutely, yep. And we'll get to hear more from her in a bit. And over here with the Wayman in the background, we have Rosa Louis, Director of Operations.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm super happy to be here and getting to know the future students. I, more than anything, handle a lot of day-to-day operations, deal with TSA, government issues, FAA, 141 records, VA. So any of those lovely and fun, exciting government agencies, I'm the person you need to come see.
She has the fun job, right? And joining us right here at the bottom, Mr. Ricardo Maleta, our lead flight instructor at Opalaca.
Hello, can you hear me?
We hear you fine. 5x5.
Hello, everyone. I'm the instructor's team leader in Opalaca, so I'll be handling everything from flight training part. So everything related to flight training is going to go through me, and I'll be pretty much following everybody and doing state checks as well.
Excellent. And of course, with no need for introductions, Dr. Guerra, Dr. Vina.
Hi, students. Excited that we're having this orientation for flight students, and I hope you get a lot of information and we can begin flying soon. So welcome, and thank you, Eddie, for conducting this important orientation meeting.
Thank you. Dr. Vina, I know you get to speak with all the students more regularly than we do, but is there anything you'd like to say?
Was that for me or was that for?
Yes, that's for you.
Yes, dear.
Sorry. No, I'm just looking forward to, this launch and us working together for our students' success. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
If they're successful, we all win.
Yes, 100%. It's a team effort. And to give you an idea of what the purpose of today's meeting is, I don't want to hold you for too long. We should be done well within the hour. The purpose of this presentation is, we got to know everybody in December. This is how to get started, right? We're in the second week of class, which means the drop add period is ending. That should have the ability to release funds after this Friday. And we want to make sure that everyone's enrolled, has their paperwork and documentation in line, so we can get you flying as soon as possible. And that should be the outcome of this presentation. If you haven't already visited with us to register, you'll be able to make a registration appointment. We'll have some slides about that and exactly what you have to bring with you, right? So again, without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, so as I mentioned, these are Wayman wings. Certainly hope each and every one of you will be able to have a set of these very soon. As soon as you solo, you earn these wings. And that is the first step towards changing our lives through aviation. Everyone here has self-selected themselves to join this aviation program, to join this professional pilot program, to reach for a better life, a career, a nice status and income. And we're here to help you get there. So we're here to talk about the professional pilot program. One of the things I like to point out right away is that we are Wayman Aviation Academy, but the legal name of the academy, as far as flight FAA 141 records, the testing center, graduation certificates, they will say American Flight Training, right? It's a point that can be a little confusing, and so I like to just go ahead and put it out there right up front. American Flight Training is Wayman Aviation Academy. It's a legally registered trademark of Wayman Aviation Academy and American Flight Training, so you can use both names interchangeably, but your certificates will say American Flight Training. And of course, we have two locations, which I'll dive into. Opelika Executive Airport, which is where I'm sitting today, and Hollywood North Perry Airport, which is where our admissions team and Rosa is sitting right now. Already introduced myself, Wayman Aviation, Vice President, second generation here of Wayman Aviation, with my two boys in there, kind of getting their experiences in the airplane. Might get a chance to meet them. I always like to jump in on this right away. For some of us, English is our second language. And so this is an important piece of aviation phraseology. Say again, please. Now, I mentioned this webinar format is a little different than your regular Zoom, right? So we want to answer your questions. We want to know what you're thinking. If I go through something and you didn't quite catch it, please use the chat or use the Q&A box to ask questions. And then we'll either answer them on the fly. And Manny is really good about typing answers as we go, or we'll go back and we'll answer all questions at the end. Please share your questions, because if you have a thought in your mind or a doubt, it's very likely that somebody else has the same question and just hasn't put it out there yet. So please go ahead and chat and put that all out there. All right. Okay, so one of the things I like to kind of just do to set the foundation is that you are in charge of your flight training, right? We are here to provide all the resources, aircraft, instructors, the syllabus, the resources to make you successful, but you've got to walk through the door, right? This is unlike any class you've taken before. You cannot, get a C in algebra and move along. Pilots that get C's don't land on the runway, right? So we're always trained to 100%. You've got to step up. Our full-time students fly 5 days a week. By default, you guys are doing university classes, maybe you've got family obligations and work, so you may not be able to fly 5 days a week, but you absolutely can. If you are going to dive into it full time, sign up for 5 days a week. 1 or 2 days might get weathered out or canceled because of maintenance, which reduces you to 3 activities. But on the flip side, if you're only scheduling yourself once or twice a week and one of those gets rained out or whatever might happen, you're going to be limping along at 1 activity a week or maybe every other week. And that's no way to get the program done in a reasonable amount of time. So you really have to put yourself into it. I always say that we can't force anyone to be a pilot. You've got to want it. And that means showing up. Half of life is just showing up, right? In a related note, this might be a new word, a new term here, pilot in command, right? Pilot in command is something you're going to hear throughout the rest of your aviation career. You often hear it referred to as PIC, pilot in command. Pilot in command time is what you want, it's what you need to be a captain. You want to add up those thousands of hours of PIC time. But in today's context, again, it means that you have the final say. The pilot in command has the final say on their aircraft, just like the captain of a ship has the final say on their ship. You decide when to land, where to go, if you have enough fuel to get there, if you're going in the right direction. And so you are the pilot in command of your flight training. Again, we're going to give you all the support, all the guidance, all the mentorship we can, but you've got to start making good decisions and making them quickly. That's one of the things that's not in the brochure, but part of becoming a pilot is making good, quick decisions. And I hope you make decisions to be consistent with your flight training. So we're going to plan our work and work your plan. Everyone knows private pilot is where you start flying, right? It's where you learn how to navigate, control the aircraft, weather, communications, and safety, safety, safety. Now, Florida Memorial has had a wonderful opportunity to extend scholarships to several of you. Take advantage of that. It's going to get you moving and get you to the next step very soon. Those of you that are paying out of pocket, of course, we have the Sallie Mae financing there. You can pay in smaller blocks, but of course it's going to take longer, right? So organizing your financing to get your private pilot done is very important. Now, once you have your private pilot, a whole slew of scholarships open up to you. 99s, Greater Miami Aviation Association, LPA, OBAP, they love giving scholarships if you already have your private pilot, because they know you're a serious pilot. So the next step is your instrument rating. Lets you fly at night in bad weather, makes you a stronger pilot, right? That leads to your commercial certificate, lets you start flying for hire. And I'd say 90% of students go on to get their multi-engine certificate, because just about every commercial operator has 2 engines or more. Think about any Airbus, any Learjet, any Boeing, you're gonna see 2 or more engines. So the multi-engine, critical certificate to earn. And for those of you that have the patience, the talent, the will to become flight instructors, it's a great way to build up your first 1,000 hours of experience to reach the 1,000-hour restricted ATP requirement, right? To apply it to the airlines, our airline partners, and hopefully many more airline partners for Florida Memorial, right? So this is the plan, right? Our goal is to have you get through these 5 certificates, if you're starting from private, to get through these 5 certificates in the next 2 years, right? 2 years, not 4 years, but in the next 2 years to get you through all these certificates. So then you have the opportunity to use those certificates while you're still in school, making, whether it's as a flight instructor or with one of our airline or charter partners. So you saw a version of this on in December, and I've gone ahead and I've modified it to be specific to Florida Memorial, right? This is kind of how I like to, I'm a visual person. I find that pilots tend to be visual people. And so there's nothing quite like a nice little diagram, right? And again, if you've got questions about anything, please go ahead and put it in the Q&A in the chat. So the way that we figured out the pacing for the semesters with Dr. Guerra is that everyone that's going into private pilot should have already taken the private pilot theory class, right? You already took it, hopefully in the fall that just passed, right? Which means that now you can take the private pilot flight course. While you're taking private pilot flight, you're taking instrument theory. So think of it as I probably could have drawn that in a second row. But so you're doing these consecutively. So your private pilot done in 1 semester, which should be your 2nd semester. Then your instrument in your 3rd semester, commercial in your 4th. And then, oh, a typo there. That should have been multi-engine in your 5th, right? Or flight instructor. So a nice 1 license per semester pace. This is absolutely doable, especially for instrument and commercial. They're relatively short courses. Private is the one that we give the most flexibility to. We want you to be done in 1 semester, which is about 3 to 4 months, but we also know it's the most unpredictable, right? People come from different levels of experience, different study habits. Maybe you get a little bit dizzy on your first flights and it takes you a month just to get over that. And so private, we can understand some flexibility. Maybe it takes you into that 2nd semester, but I believe if you do not pass it within 1 semester, you get an incomplete. And if you do not pass it within 2 semesters, you get a failure. Is that right, Dr. Guerra?
That is correct.
All right. So very important that we try to stick to this 1 semester completion and at no more than 2 semesters. Nothing works quite like a deadline, but it seems that students always push right up until the deadline. Don't do that, right? You don't want to be on the 1st of May, waiting for a check ride when the semester ends on the 2nd of May, right? So do not push all the way to those deadlines. Get them done and get it done quickly. So right below it, I have estimated costs and FAR to go along with it, right? So you'll see our private here at 16,530. That is everything in the kitchen sink, right? We included just about everything that we could in there to be an all-inclusive number. That includes things that you're going to be paying out of pocket, check rides, maybe you've got TSA expenses if you're an international student, headsets, all these kind of things. So there's opportunities for savings there. The actual flight training part of it, I don't have it right in front of me, but I want to say it was about 12 or so, 12,000. And so the rest is these fees that go for TSA and check rides and written exams and all these things that go around it. The beautiful thing is those that have scholarships have already, I think it's built around that number. And those of you that are going to be asking for Sallie Mae loans, use this number, right? This is our built to our 71-hour 141 program. But at the private pilot level, you get what's called Part 61 flexibility, right? Not really gonna dive, well, maybe I should, right? 141 means that you're a full-time dedicated student. That's the short and sweet of it. You are a full-time student following the structure and the processes of our syllabus. Part 61 follows the similar syllabus, but it gives you a lot more flexibility, right? Like when you get to a stage exam, maybe you nailed the stage exam, but that third landing wasn't so great. In a 141 format, you've got to go back, retrain with your instructor, and then take the stage check again to move forward. In a Part 61, it's more of a quality control stage check. You fly with your stage check pilot. They say you got to work on your landings, but you can move ahead. Unless you didn't do very well and you've got to repeat, right? So basically 61 follows the same curriculum, but it makes it a lot more flexible. We like to do private pilot Part 61 for two reasons. One, it is not required to be 141 for the sake of your restricted ATP. And also, as mentioned before, private pilot is the most unpredictable stage. And in my opinion, the biggest hurdle for a young pilot, right? Because you've never done it before. You're learning how to fly, and it's not a natural thing. We weren't born with wings. So Part 61 gives us that flexibility. The vast majority of people are able to get a private pilot certificate with hard work and dedication. Once you've got your private under your belt, the pass rate is very consistent for instrument, commercial, multi-engine, because you already know how to fly. And those are just adding variations or more technical aspects to your flying. All right, so private, we give you the full 141 budget, but with the 61 flexibility. For instrument, significantly less, it's only 45 hours, but we do this also Part 141, so we skip the 50-hour cross-country requirement. So you finish your private, you don't need to go out there and do time building, you go straight into your instrument rating, right? And a good part of that is done simulators. We've got great news. The Miami FISDO has approved us, has given us a verbal okay to go ahead and use the wonderful Frasca mentors that are on FMU's campus. We just have to maybe take Ricky and some of our instructors over there, get checked out, know how they work, right? I'm sure we'll figure that out once our first instrument students start flying, two of which already signed up. I think I see you there in the chat. So the instrument, pretty straightforward, 45 hours, and then we do it in a 141 setting. And similarly, we have our special 141 commercial, which is a reduced syllabus from 120 hours down to 50 hours, saves you a bundle of cash, and it has you done faster, right? So we do that one under 141. Again, expected about 11,800 for that course. And this says commercial, should say multi-engine. And so these courses after here, multi-engine, CFI, double I, those can all be done Part 61 because you are, it doesn't impact your restricted ATP, and you've got maximum flexibility there. So this right here is 2 years, 2 semesters. 2 years, 4 semesters to get you to a commercial multi-engine rating, at which point you theoretically could go out there and work. One more semester, I would do your CFI if you want to join our CFI program. Now, one thing that I always include is expect 10% in non-tuition items. That's our fudge factor, right? Whether you're asking for money from Sally Mae or grandma and grandpa or scholarship money, kind of expect that 10% non-tuition items. And that's your check rides and this fee. And I had to do a little bit of extra training to get ready for a check ride. That's something just to consider. We don't want you to run out of cash when you're so close to getting to your goal. And of course, housing, TSA exams are not tuition, right? Those are fees associated with flying, but they're not tuition. So we always have to take those into account, right? I always get questions about this slide. So please feel free to put questions in the Q&A in the chat box and we'll get to them. Speaking of Sally Mae, right? So I shared this with everybody in December. I think a few of you had a chance to go ahead and apply already. I haven't connected who was who, but we've gotten great success with Sally Mae. We've already had dozens students go through the Sally Mae application and success this year alone. They will fund up to, I think, $96,000 of flight training, which is far more than we actually need, right? So you can fund your flight training and even living expenses. And because Florida Memorial is also a Sallie Mae school, the loan doesn't come due until 6 months after you graduate from Florida Memorial. Pretty awesome, right? So basically you have no payments for while you're at Florida Memorial, and you should be working probably before you even graduate, right? So it's a great place to be. Take a screenshot, scan this with your phone. If you're looking at this on your laptop, scan it with your roommate's phone. I know it's a little weird to be scanning your own phone, but screenshot, right? And you can go to it later. You can also go to our website, wayman.edu/financing, and the same link will be right there. It takes 15 minutes to apply. If you did not get approved the first time around, try it with a co-sponsor. It raises the chance of being approved dramatically. And even if you were approved, it lowers the interest rate with a co-sponsor, right? Because most of you are young people, starting their credit history, possibly the first loan. And so it helps to have that co-sponsor, but that co-sponsor needs to have decent credit as well, right? So just be aware of that. Lots of success with Sallie Mae, and I think Florida Memorial students should definitely take advantage of it. As mentioned in December, international students that are living in the US can also apply for it as long as you have a co-borrower, a co-sponsor that is a US citizen or resident, right? So if you've got an aunt, an uncle, a close friend of the family that's here in South Florida or anywhere really in the United States that is willing to lend you their credit, they can do it with you. And here's the wonderful thing I just found out maybe 2 weeks ago, is that after you make 12 months of payments, 1 year of payments, the co-sponsor is released from the loan, which is pretty amazing. So they only really have that obligation for 1 year. Once you show that you're paying your loans, that co-signer is released. So really nice. All right, back to flight training, right? So I look forward to everyone going for their first lesson. This is our lesson 1 photo right here. As I showed before, we usually go down the beach, down over South Beach and all that, kind of get the feel for the aircraft. You will very likely be flying the Florida Memorial G1000. It's going through its last bits of maintenance right now, getting a G1000 update and all those nice things. So it should be back on the line here at Opa-locka in the next week. And of course, we have 30 other airplanes available to you. So should never be a delay in your training. This is the sum of our flight training. We do plan for a 73-hour private pilot. We do not aim for the minimums, right? The US average is 73 hours, and so we built our flight program around 73 hours. That being said, probably 80-90% of our students finish, boom, right at those 73 hours. We have very little additional training. On the flip side, if you were signing up for a minimums program, almost everybody goes past it, right? I haven't not seen a 40-hour private pilot probably in like 6 years. So the norm there should be that you usually in your 60s or so to get your private pilot. We go ahead and give that fudge factor again, 73 hours, and everyone's bulletproof when they get to their private pilot check ride. 45 hours for instrument, 52 hours for commercial. If you hit it on the numbers, which I think everyone should be able to, you're all studious college students, giving it your all, 170 hours total flight time, right? That's a wonderful low number to get your commercial certificate, and it gives you budget and time to do your multi-engine, right? You do your multi-engine add-on, your flight instructor, and your CFI instruments. These are the 141 hours, but because you can do it with the flexibility of 61, you might actually get it in fewer hours. That being said, everybody wants multi-engine time. When you go to apply to the airlines, they want to know how much multi-engine time do you have. So don't be shy about using your financing and getting the full 25 hours of multi-engine time. And the flight instructor certificate is one of those first certificates that pays for itself. But that being said, it's not for everybody. You've got to have the patience and the dedication to be a flight instructor. Maybe Ricky can speak to that when we get to his slide. The fleet. We are flying a fleet right now of just shy of 40 aircraft, mostly Cessna 152s and Cessna 172s. We have a G1000 at each base now, thanks to Florida Memorial's aircraft. We have a G1000 at North Perry and a G1000 at Opa-locka. Florida Memorial students get a discount on the Florida Memorial G1000, and that one will be based here at Opelika for $124 an hour. To give you an idea, it's $189 an hour retail to the public, right? Now that discount only applies to a Florida Memorial airplane, so if it's down for whatever reason and you're flying our other G1000 airplane, it's at the 189 rate and it's based out of Opelika. Based out of North Perry. But our other airplanes that are down here are $139 an hour. They're beautifully equipped and we fly them every day. So I hope you get some variety in your training and try the other aircraft out as well. For our twin engine training, we use our Piper Senecas. We've got 3 in the fleet, and those are based out of North Perry. And as mentioned, we have our own simulators, including a Redbird TD that's right here in the building. But I look forward to getting to know your Frasca mentors right there at the lab. Let's talk about the airports, right? So this is North Perry Airport, which is 20 minutes north of us, right? It will be, it's absolutely available to any of you that live north of us, right? If you live, a block away from North Perry Airport and you want to fly out of North Perry Airport, you're welcome to. You can fly out of either base. And we are in this building on the south side here. That's our hangar and our educational center right there off of Pembroke Road. This is University, Pembroke Road. It is a great airport. It is a mostly 141 full-time student base. You'll see everybody in uniform, very structured, very much an academy. And the airport itself has these wonderful tick-tock kind of crisscross runways. So there's never a bad crosswind. And because the runways are only about 3,400 feet, there's no jet traffic. It's all trainer, propeller, piston traffic. It's really nice. Everyone's going the same speed. And of course, the facility is completely available to you, whether you're flying or studying or using the testing center, the pilot shop, the library. We've got beacons that do free tutoring over there on weekday afternoons. Completely available to Florida Memorial students once you're registered with us. However, I suspect most of you will be flying out of Opelika Airport, right? Which is where I'm sitting today. I'm right where this dot is. Yeah, this dot's pointing right at me, basically. Right, I'm here. And we are at the Atlantic FBO off of Charlie. This is the Charlie taxiway below 9 left, 27 right. So as a point of comparison, 9 right here is an 8,000 foot runway. You can land a 747 here, which is really nice. It's like landing in a big open meadow. You don't have to worry about anything. The training runway down here, 9 right, I'm sorry, that was 9 left, 9 right, is about 4,000 feet. By comparison, this runway here is 3,500, right? So this, our longest runway, is just shorter than the shortest runway at Opelika. The difference is, Opelika is a great airport to fly out of. You got a lot more taxi time because it's so large, but you also get to see every jet imaginable, right? If there's a new Gulfstream that just got announced, it's probably at Opelika today. So it's a little bit of a mix because you get to interact and see all these really beautiful airplanes, but they're also in the pattern, right? So you might get delayed, might get vectored, might get turned around because there's a jet coming in twice as fast as you, right? So just something to be aware of as we do our training. And we keep a fleet of 6 Cessnas right here on the edge of this grass strip at the end of Charlie. And once you come in, make sure you get a tour so you can kind of see where the airplanes are, what the hangar is like. It is not the easiest thing to find us in the airport, right? So Florida Memorial is right here. I think those are the dorms right there above the T in airport. Yeah, some of you might be seeing us right now from the dorms. So the way that you'd get in here, the easiest way that I found to come into the airport is to come over here to 37th Street, make a right, come on down, and enter through the side entrance of Opelika. Come on into Lejeune, up to the 4-way stop here, and come around the curve. When you come around the curve, we usually have a little sign out by the road that says Wayman Aviation with an arrow pointing to the right. Keep an eye out for that. The other way that I like to think about it is that it's after the little fuel farm. There's a fuel farm here, and after that you can make a right, and that brings you into a separate little parking lot, and our door is right there. The door is sometimes unlocked, sometimes locked. I don't understand the logic behind the FBO, but if you knock or call, it takes us 2 seconds to step to the door and open it for you, right? So you don't have to park in the big parking lot. There's a small parking lot right here, unless it's full, of course, right? So, and the Atlantic FBO, also a wonderful facility. We have full access to it, its lounges, its little cafe and all that good stuff, right? So this is great. Opa-locka Airport, if you don't know, big, beautiful, historic airport, World War II Navy base. It had three big hangars from World War II. It was originally founded by Glenn Curtiss, who was a competitor of the Wright brothers. And of course, Amelia Earhart Park right here, named after Amelia Earhart, who flew out of this airport when she disappeared flying around the world. So very big historic airport. Miami is steeped in aviation history, and you should definitely get to know some of it while you're here. So Opa-locka Airport, you're gonna get to know Opa-locka Airport very well, and I think you're gonna get to know North Perry Airport very well as well. Right, moving right along. Here we get more into the orientation part of the school. So you're going to hear this repeated several times. I say it because repetition works, right? Repetition works. Time and attendance. You are to report 30 minutes before your flight. 30 minutes before your flight means you're on time. If you show up for your 9 o'clock flight at 9 o'clock, you're late, right? So you should be reporting for your flights 30 minutes beforehand. Got to do weight and balance, flight plans, check the weather, do a briefing before you go, right? So you should always report 30 minutes before your flight. If you show up at 9 o'clock for that flight, then you still have to do all those things, which means that you're not departing until 9:20, 9:30. Now you're certainly late, and the instructor might have to cancel your flight because there's no way you're going to get it done in time before you have to be back because somebody else has the airplane after you, right? We live by the schedule. There's no such thing as an American Airlines pilot that is running late, right? So set those habits now. We do ask for 12-hour notice for schedule changes. Basically, that means the night before, if you have a morning flight. Rule of thumb is if the instructor is here waiting for you, you're going to end up paying a no-show, right? And nobody wants to pay to not fly. So make sure that you report on time, report early, and communicate extensively if you have to cancel or move a flight. The dress code. Everyone should be in their pilot whites, looking sharp. We're going to give you the wings when you earn them. 1 stripe for private, 2 for instrument, 3 for commercial. Don't worry about paying for those. I'm more than happy to give them to you if you earn them, right? The pilot shirts, you can buy them at our pilot shop, $22. You can order them on Amazon, Sporties, wherever you'd like. Get yourself more than one because they get stinky, especially in the summer, right? So get yourself at least a couple of pilot shirts. Look the part, feel the part. You are a professional pilot and you should start wearing the uniform. Honestly, it makes your life a lot easier because you open the closet, you don't have to think about it. Black pants, pilot shirt, let's go. Similarly, no blue jeans, no open-toed shoes, no shorts, things like that. You will not be able to fly, and in fact, you'll get a no-show if you come to fly out of uniform. Aircraft security, just basically always want to tie down the airplanes, make sure they're not going anywhere. Trash, if you take it in, take it out. Nobody wants to deal with the bugs, and that's true for our briefing rooms like this one. We want to make sure it's always clean. And ramp security is very important. You are not allowed to be on the ramp side, the air side, where the airplanes are, unless you are going to a flight, coming from a flight, or with your instructor. Everyone, we have to figure this out, but everyone should get a Wayman Aviation ID, right, which identifies you as a student here. And whenever you're with the airplane, each airplane has one of these Opa-locka Miami-Dade Aviation Security badges. And that basically says that you're authorized to be on the airport, right? Nobody wants to get arrested or have a TSA record if you're trying to be a commercial pilot. So very important you have your identification with you every time you fly. All right, so that's the mini orientation part. Now we get to know some of our staff members. And again, I hope you've got questions. Please put them in the chat or in the Q&A box so we can answer your questions. Starting with Miss Aimeni.
Hi again, and welcome to Wayman again. Okay, how I mentioned before, I work in admissions, and I'm very happy to help you to all process through admission, okay? What is my job? My job is collect all your documents, create account in Wayman's, and here you have the link in order to make appointment with me, Tuesday and Thursday, okay? From the 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Please, when you have appointment with me, bring your passport, bring your driver license, your FAA medical if you have it, your FAA license if you have your private license, your I-20 and the visa if you are international students, okay? If you don't have a medical, we help you to get it, okay? We give you the information and then you can go to the doctor and take it. And about TSA, I will help you too with the TSA, okay?
Mhm. Yeah, this is great. So Miss Ameni is one of our senior admission specialists, and so is Yohamid. Did we lose Yohamid? So Yohamid is also a part of our admissions team. Imeni is inside the Opalaka office on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is why we're asking for everyone to make appointments Tuesdays and Thursdays. This little scan box here will take you to the page where you actually see Imeni's calendar. You can say, okay, I want to meet with Imeni, 11 a.m. on Tuesday, right? Do that, because if you walk in, you might end up waiting, or maybe she's not here, right? And so while we love you to visit, it's best if we know you're coming so we can give you a nice tour and give you the time that you need to register. The registration shouldn't take more than 20, 30 minutes, right? You fill out a yellow form, which is your information and enrollment. You fill out a green form, which is your renter's insurance. You do a lot of initials and signatures on that. The passport is a proof of citizenship. The US government, the TSA, basically it's to exempt you from having to do TSA, which is for non-US citizens. If you are international resident, you have to do TSA. And again, Imeni, Yohamid, we can guide you through that. But if you are a US citizen, bring that passport. Driver's license just verifies the passport. And perhaps you already have an FAA medical or FAA license. We'll guide you through it if you don't. And the I-20 and visa is if you're an international student. That would be the I-20 you have from Florida Memorial, right? Bringing it so you can scan it in there. Rosa, am I missing anything on this list for registration? Nope, looking good. All right, great. So again, I hope that QR code helps you register an appointment with Miss Imeni. The other days, she's at North Perry, so she cycles through Opalaka and North Perry, which is why I want you to make an appointment and make sure you catch her, right? You might catch me, and I might make all sorts of mistakes in your enrollment, so you're much better off sitting with Imeni. And we have Rosa, Director of Operations.
Hi, everyone. So I dab a little in all things, I guess you could say, so I can help you a little bit with registration. I will also be helping and working out with all the invoicing that we do with FMU. If you have scholarships, etc., we will handle and make that work and have that interaction with FMU to make the program, the process seem seamless. I also am the person that schedules and coordinates all the check writes. So be advised that check writes are scheduled once the program is completed, not prior to then. And also remember that the fee for the examiner goes directly to the examiner. The examiner does not work for us, and he doesn't work for the FAA. He is observed by the FAA, but he's basically his own little entity. So we just coordinate the check write to be able to have it flow as easily as possible and as quickly as possible. So as soon as you complete your end of course, I will be coordinating that directly with your instructor. If you are a student who is a VA, a veteran, please see me so that I can work with you directly with all your paperwork and everything can go smoothly too on there. Any other questions, please feel free to see me at any time. Rosa
is your problem solver, right? If we can't sort it out, your instructor can't sort it out, Rosa usually knows what to pull, what buttons to push, and we'll make sure that your account gets funded, memos come around, and that you get the most out of your budget, right? So she's excellent at what she does, and I believe you can usually find her at Opalaka on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Always available on Zoom though.
Yeah, Zoom, a text, a phone call, it works. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've all gotten to know how to use Zoom and Google Meets a lot better over the last 2 years, right? That brings us to Ricardo, our instructor team leader.
All right. Hello again. Ricardo, a little bit about me. I joined Wayman for my instrument. I really don't remember how many years ago. I'm a little bad with timing. But yeah, all the way from instrument until multi-engine instructor, I've been with Wayman, so I know the school pretty well. And then I also became instructor team leader in Opelika and state check instructor about a year ago. So yeah, I handle basically, like I said earlier, I handle everything regarding our operations and the flight training itself. And just a couple of points that I do want to touch and little tips, advices. Go through our safety practice and procedures manual. You're going to find it in ForeFlight under policies. What it does, it gives you an idea of our of how we actually handle operations. So weather limitations, solo limitation, cross-country limitations, like Eddie mentioned earlier, uniform, no-shows, all the policies are in there. So give it a quick read just to have an idea of what training is going to be. And from airspace and operation, and airport familiarization as well. Before you start training, I know a lot of you guys are going to start from zero. So before you actually start working with your instructor, give a little quick look to how the airspace is. It's one of the busiest airspaces in the country. Traffic gets pretty crazy in both bases. For once in Opelika because of jets, and in Norperry because, like Eddie said, we have a lot of flight schools working there. So go through that so that way it's a little bit easier to start for you guys. And same thing with ATC calls, right? So you probably, even if you guys are native English speakers, aviation English is pretty hard. So start familiarizing. Of course, we're gonna have some help for you guys. We do have ATC radio calls to get you started. But if you do that on your own, when you're home, you're practicing, it's gonna make everything go smoother in the plane, especially because in the plane, there's a lot going on. There's ATC calls, your instructor is talking to you in traffic and you're doing maneuvers and stuff. So the better you handle ATC right away, the better it is for your training. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Eddie.
Absolutely. And also, what was once the option opens up again, we'll try to get some tower tours going here.
And another thing that I want to touch base on is instructor and student communication leads to successful training. What it means is that you're going to be spending a lot of time with your instructors. Some of you 5 times a day, some of you 3 times a day, whatever the number is. I do want you guys to talk about anything to your instructor because we never know what is going on in your head, right? We might have a guess, but if we don't have certainty, we don't know how to approach the situation. And that can be a problem when it comes to flight training. So communication with your instructor, with me, with Eddie, with Rosa, with everybody is gonna, like I said, make everything go smooth. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm gonna be there pretty much every day in Opelika handling that. And state checks. So like Eddie mentioned, especially for part 141, state checks are included in the program. You're gonna go through stage 1, 2, 3, and then of course, you can see them more as a second opinion, as mini check rides that I do, just to make sure that you're following your training program properly, you're improving. And also to find from an outside perspective, to find some areas that you might need work on. So it's a second opinion. It's to get you ready also to fly and to present your performance, to present your skills to somebody that is not your instructor. So it gets you used to kind of a check ride environment. And yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. That's absolutely so true. It's very important to have a lot of communication and feedback between you and your instructor. And a question I get all the time is, can I have the same instructor for all my training, right? We want you to have one instructor per course, but that instructor will change from private to instrument to commercial, to break bad habits and introduce new ways of learning. And the stage checks are our opportunity to fly with a different instructor, not to stress you out or to shake your nerves, right? But to check how you and how your instructor's doing. It's a check on both of you, right? Which is a good thing, to have that second opinion, second advice before you move on. Oh, sorry. I just was told that my boxes are blocking everything. Is that better? Sorry. I didn't realize that was all shared.
Much better.
Sorry, I thought only I could see those. All right, 3 training tips. I always like to share these with incoming students. It means we're getting to the end of our presentation also. 3 training tips. Study 1 hour for every hour of flying, right? That's a good rule of thumb that we've learned over the last 34 years. For every hour of flying, you want to be in ground school, study groups, in your home simulator, or watching videos on YouTube. All of it is good, right? But you expect about 3 to 4 hours of studying for every hour of actual flying. Somebody put this in a very interesting way. The most expensive place to learn to fly is in the aircraft, right? So do what you can on the ground, read the syllabus, watch videos on YouTube, look at the maneuvers before you get into the airplane, right? Celebrate. We're big fans of celebrating, first solos, pass your written exams, pass your check rides. There's a lot of high fives flying around here all the time. So celebrate when there's a reason to celebrate, but not every weekend. If you celebrate every weekend, you're going to find yourself with fewer and fewer things to celebrate, because your energy should be dedicated towards making progress on your flight training, right? So, you pass your check ride, your written test, treat yourself to a nice dinner, but try to limit how much you're going out there. And there is a 0 tolerance drug and alcohol policy at school and in life, right? So the FAA, much like ourselves, our students are randomly drug tested. We're not even told when it happens. They can be at dispatch and just pick 3 or 4 students, and there you go, right? So it's a terrible way to blow your investment to fail a drug test, because you will be drug tested the rest of your career. I was just talking to an Emirates captain that tells me that they get a drug test and medical exam before every single flight. Every time they show up to the flight line, they get a drug test and medical exam. So if you have bad habits, now's the time to stop and move over to get some good habits. Start running, start drinking smoothies, get in some good habits, right? Again, this is the goal. This is what we're here to do. I know our airplanes are a lot smaller, but you'll get to this level. We've had so many successes over 34 years, thousands of pilots flying around the world, the best view, best job you can think for, and you're in demand right now. There's a huge demand for pilots around the world right now, so you're in the right place at the right time. Right? That brings us to the end of the official presentation, and I switch gears to our Q&A. All right, let's see, what do we have going on? Oh, I did already answer one, which is about Sallie Mae loans. You only need the cosigner basically to initiate the loan, right? To basically pass the threshold of, yes, we can give this person a loan. But once you're making payments, that person gets released. Usually about 12 months of payments and that person's released. So hope, Jonathan, that answered your question. All right. Dominique wants to know if she can register at North Perry on Monday. Now, I believe you are here on Mondays at Opelika?
Yes, I will be in Opelika. If you want to enroll, you can go to Opelika anytime, okay? I prefer in the morning, and you bring all your document, I will help you.
You can use that same link to schedule on Monday. Now, in the presentation, I put Tuesdays and Thursdays because Mondays are Mondays. They're a little unpredictable, right?
Exactly.
They're a little unpredictable, and so Tuesdays and Thursdays are more predictable. But yes, you could schedule an enrollment on Monday. That would also be at Opelika. If you want to enroll out of North Perry, I'm sure Yohamid or Catalina or Mr. Erkan can accommodate you as well, but just communicate. I think Ms. Aimeni is still the best person to do it. Right? A phone number for Mrs. Rosa. Now, I believe she prefers email. Is that right? Yeah. So email would be rosa@wayman.edu. I'll type that right there in the Q&A. rosa@wayman.edu. and you'll be able to reach Rosa, and she can get back to you with whatever you might need. We have an anonymous attendee. Ricardo knows his field well, but I feel that he would look so professional if he had his uniform during the Yes, Ricardo, you should be wearing your uniform and get a comb. I need to take a new photo of Ricardo.
Yeah, that photo was probably from 2011.
That being said, Ricardo is a consummate professional, thousands of hours of experience, years flying, excellent on all his exams, and a wonderful pass record. So that's why we have to wear uniforms and look very professional, right? What documents does Kyondre have to bring? Well, we covered this, but I'll repeat. Passport, especially for international, but even if you're a US citizen, a passport is the best proof of citizenship. Otherwise, your birth certificate or naturalization document will work as well, but passport is the best. A second ID, usually a driver's license. And I'm missing something here. Those are the two most important things to bring. If you already have an FAA medical or license, you would want to bring that. Am I missing anything else there?
If he is international, he needs to bring the I-20 and the visa.
Yeah, your I-20 and visa, which would be your FMU I-20 and the visa in your passport. Yes. And he wants to know how to make payments, right? So if you are getting a scholarship through the university, we have to provide an invoice to the university, which then they turn around and will pay us hopefully sometime in the near future. Now, if you're paying out of pocket, you would make at least a 10-hour block deposit into your account, which it's probably about $2,000. I'll get you the exact number, but that would be what you've used to fund your account. You can do that right here with us at the flight school at Opelika or at North Perry. Credit card, cash, no personal checks, sorry, but credit cards, cash. We're even taking Zelle now. Look at us, 2022. And I think accounting at Wayman.net if you Zelle it, but you got to talk to us because otherwise that money goes in there and we don't know who it's for. So there's lots of ways to make payments, and you can do those with us here at the office when you register. If you're self-funding, if you're doing it through Sallie Mae, they disperse the funds to us directly. So you don't have to worry about that. There's lots of communication before the funding goes through, right? So hope that answers your question, Dominique. Oh, lots of questions coming in. Hello, going over the price for private. If you pay private, we have to pay for this. Yes, every course is kind of funded individually. If you're lucky enough to get Sallie Mae funding for the whole thing, even they pay it in thirds, actually, right? So if you're able to pay the full program, great. I think there's a 5% discount if you do that. However, most scholarships, Sallie Mae, those kind of things are still broken up into chunks. I hope that answers your question. If you pay for private, we have to pay. Yes, so every course is paid separately. So we really only take payment for one course at a time. You get to finish your private, you say, great, congratulations. This is what the budget's going to be for the next one, instruments. And similarly with scholarships, usually they're one course at a time. However, if you have any money left over, I believe it can roll over to your next course. So for example, let's say you're a Top Gun and you finish private with $1,000 in your account, those go roll right over into your instrument. I hope that answers your question. Great presentation, great team, I think so. Thank you, Anonymous. Can you share doctor information now so we can go over the weekend? That's a good question. I don't have it immediately on hand, but perhaps if you email imeni@wayman.net, she can provide that for you in a PDF. I'll put that in the chat. Let's see, to everyone, imeni@wayman.net. The two that I've worked with a lot is Dr. Morrison, who's on 441 and 595, and Dr. Patash at the Airport Medical Clinic, which is immediately west of Miami International Airport. If you're on Miami International Airport, and what street is that on the west side of Miami International Airport? 72nd, I want to say. But basically,
Yeah, that's Milan Dairy.
Yes, 72nd, I think.
yeah, so 36, you make that turn south on 72nd, and there's a little yellow building there. That's the Airport Medical Clinic. He's been there since I was a kid, and I hope he's still there. But he's also very inexpensive. Always get a first class medical. Don't go for the second, don't go for the third, get a first class medical. You are in this program to be an airline pilot, and you would rather find out now before you make a $50,000, $60,000 investment, whether or not you can medically be an airline pilot, right? So go ahead and get your first class, and it'll be good for 5 years while you're a student.
Eddie, I would like to add something. Dominic, remember, if you go into your Media Express, you need to put your name, your middle name. If you have two last names, you need to put it everything, okay? Like in your passport.
Yes.
Yes, I'll give everyone a head start. medexpress.faa.gov is a form you've got to fill out to get your medical, and your medical has to match your passport word for word. If you've got a hyphen, if you're a junior, if you're the third, it has to match your passport identical, or the FAA thinks you're somebody else. Yeah. There's a question there about knowledge exams. Do you have to complete it, or can we start flying now? I would love for you to complete it, but you can start flying now. Right? I find actually that a lot of the questions make more sense once you have 1 or 2 flights under your belt, right? Just because you can kind of imagine yourself in the cockpit and, oh, the plane does this when I turn left, those kind of things. That being said, I know people that have gotten great scores and not been in the airplane once, right? So it would be best, you definitely want to get your written exam done in lesson 1. I mean, not in lesson 1, in stage 1. There's 3 stages. Right? You need to have your test done as soon as possible. When you get to your stage checks, Ricardo or one of our other stage check pilots are going to say, have you done your written test? Right? If you say no, that's going to be noted. Okay, needs to have his written test done. At stage 2, if you've not done your written test, you get stopped for 1 week and you're required to do a ground lesson with your instructor to find out what's lacking, why you haven't done your written test. If you still don't have your written test done at stage 3, well, you're just stuck because you can't go to a check ride without a written test.
We also don't want students to have tons of hours and the written exam is not done.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time, to be honest with you, because you're racking up hours and you're not going to go any further in terms of your flight. You absolutely will not get to your practical exam without that. And before you spend money for tons of hours in flight, it is a necessity for you to have your written exam done. And I will push for you to be stopped if you don't. If I see you have 20 hours and you haven't done that written, you need to be stopped.
Mm-hmm. I think we're in sync. Yeah, stage 1, you need to have your written exam done within stage 1. That's a good rule of thumb. Yeah. Ricky, let's make sure that that's something we cross-check on every stage 1 exam. And same thing for all the other, for instrument within the first stage, commercial within the first stage, you want to have that written test done. Beautiful. I think we went, there's more Q&As. Did we miss something else? Doctor information, Common Medical Med Express, for advice on the medical. I don't know if there's much advice to be given on the medical. When you register with Ms. Imeni, you're welcome to ask any questions you have. But we're not medical doctors, so maybe that's a question best saved for the doctor. But once you've got your Med Express done, you can go right ahead to, actually, I believe I don't know the link, but if you go to the FAA website, you can actually search for airmen medical examiners in the area. That being said, Ms. Imeni has a list with about 5 or 6 that we know and we've worked with for years. The cheapest, I think, is Dr. Fox all the way down in Tamiami, if you want to make the drive down to Kendall. But Dr. Patash, Dr. Morrison, very good. You're not going to spend more than $100 and you'll get it done. I think we've wrapped up the questions. Anything from our board here? Yohamid, Imeni, Ricky? No? Dr. Guerra, Dr. V, anything you'd like to share with all our students before you start flying?
Great presentation, Eddie and team. Thank you so much. Eddie, I do need to talk to you a little bit about how we can invoice those students who have received a scholarship.
Yep.
So I need to speak with you about that later.
Sure.
Otherwise, we're excited about having, if all the students that are in attendance today are actually going to fly, we're going to have 20 plus pilots in the air this semester, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, this is a flying program, not a dreaming program. So let's get to it. Any thoughts, Vina?
Somebody put the MedX in there, and that's actually where you're supposed to go to get if you want to get your medical done. You do have to go to that website and fill that out.
Mhm.
But we're expecting you all to work. That's the 4-letter word that will get you to your license. No excuses.
Mhm.
Work.
The FAA does not just hand these certificates out. Interesting little stat. Less than 2% of people in the country have a pilot's license, right? And probably only a percentage of those are active, right? Think about it worldwide, it's a fraction of a percent, right? So it's a very elite group to be a part of. You always hear about the 1%. There's less than 1% pilots around the world, absolutely, right? So it's a great place to be. It's the right time to be here. Oh, and before we break, of course, NBAA, the National Business and Aviation Association, is going to be in our backyard right here across the parking lot, February 2nd. It's a Wednesday, and it is free for all students, right? So if you want to come in, look sharp, wear a nice shirt, wear a Florida Memorial shirt, and you get to see the latest and greatest in business jets, meet captains, chief pilots, pass around some internship resumes. Everybody's hiring right now, right? So if you've got a couple of years under your belt at Florida Memorial, they might need a dispatcher or a secretary or somebody, dispatching these beautiful jets. So get to know these airplanes, start your networking, join OBAP, join LPA, join 99s, get out there. Aviation's not just in the cockpit, not just in the classroom. You're in the middle of one of the biggest hubs for aviation in the world. So take advantage of it. Yeah. Well, thank you all for giving us your hour, your afternoon. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this, Eddie. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Look forward to getting to know each and every one of you.
Hey, Eddie, also, you recorded this session. Can you send me the link so that we can put it on our website so students can rewatch it if they desire, or those that missed the session because of other commitments? So perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. See you
Bye,
soon.
Bye.